This is
Right, you
great
ready to
news.
roll?
I certainly am.
Okay, amazing. Today we have Spencer Matthews with us talking about Sober Spring and his journey through alcohol and out of it. So Spencer, I believe that you're a reformed man when it comes to alcohol. Tell me about that. How would you define yourself? Are you sober or alcohol free or ultra low alcohol?
It's one of those things, isn't it, that have so many words, and the language surrounding kind of alcohol and alcoholism is a really interesting one for me. I would describe myself as sober,
Yeah.
but not teetotal, I suppose. I occasionally use alcohol in cooking, and some of the products that we produce are very low alcohol, not enough to get you drunk, for example. Are there purely just to boost the flavor profile of some of our products. So, my way of looking at it is that I wouldn't drink to get drunk. I wouldn't consume alcohol in the traditional manner to alter my mind. I wouldn't even have a glass of wine with dinner, not even occasionally. So I would call myself sober.
Cool. And how long has that been the case?
Nearly 2 years now.
Wow, amazing! Congratulations.
Yeah.
When's your soberversary? When are you
it's about six days or a week after our wedding, so in June.
Wow.
So yeah, but funnily enough, it's not something I'm kind of particularly keeping tabs on. It's life is kind of incomparable for me, like pre and post. So I guess I'm just enjoying my new life. Obviously, I probably will pay attention to the anniversary of it each time, but I wouldn't be counting the days, weeks, or months. I was very fortunate, actually, in my transition into sobriety. I guess it was such a beautiful difference to me that it was quite easy to maintain. There was no real reason to want the old life back.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Are you sober as well?
Yeah, I'm 6.5 years.
Oh wow, well done.
Yeah, thank you.
That's another thing that I find surrounding the language, right? When people say, "Oh, well done" or "Congratulations," it's like it's a decision, right? Right?
Yeah.
We could drink if we want, but we choose not to. And so, in my mind, it doesn't merit a kind of congratulations. Almost, it's a kind of like, I get it. I understand it, and I think some people obviously who develop really bad drinking problems as a dependency, who are in kind of recovery, who every day is an uphill challenge. Of course, they deserve congratulating because that's a really big deal. But in my particular case, I saw it as an obstacle in my way, as opposed to a problem, I guess. I mean, I suppose in the later stages it became a problem, but it wasn't. I never really saw it or understood it as that. Even in my worst days of drinking, I wouldn't have ever woken up and been like, oh, I've got a serious drinking problem that I need to address. It was just part of my life.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a spectrum, isn't it? It's a 1 to 10 thing. And if you find yourself a 5 or a 6 and you decide to bail then your life gets better. And then some people wait till they're 8 or 9 on the spectrum. So yeah, that's really cool. And in terms of, so I really liked what you said on Instagram recently. It really moved me and I really related to it, about how you felt that before you were dishonest, unproductive, and incapable of reaching your true potential. So talk me through that. How did that feel? And can you give me any examples of how that manifested?
Sure. I think that whenever somebody is in a habit and they know it's wrong, or they know it's would be frowned upon, your honesty is at risk there. I think especially when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, as I was, it kind of, that question of, oh God, have you been drinking again today? Or and you feel like you have to defend it because you don't feel like you're doing anything wrong. So by honesty, I don't mean, big, horrible, life-altering lies. I just mean little white lies. I was never fully truthful about my alcohol consumption or, in fact, my productivity. I would blame a lot of other people for my shortcomings. If I didn't get a job, it would be my agent's fault, or maybe they didn't do a good enough job, or or whatever, I wouldn't be hungry. I wouldn't actively seek to make my life better. I would just expect stuff to happen for me. And I suppose you can fall into a slight element of grandeur if you've done a bit of, half successful television. I definitely fell into a kind of tunnel of, right, well, I could probably land whatever, TV job I want now, or I'll be some massive successful presenter just because I feel like it. And actually, the world doesn't work like that at all. And, you get what you give. And it's extremely important to remain on your game and to be, there's no replacement for hard work and drive. And for me, alcohol just completely got in the way. So there was absolutely no way that I could have achieved my potential. And I'm still nowhere near achieving the potential that I believe that I can achieve. But with alcohol in my life, it would have been impossible. I wasn't the kind of person that on a lovely hot summer's day, I could enjoy one glass of rosé and continue cooking and that's it, and go to bed early. I've always been someone who wants more, and that happened to be a phase that lasted throughout most of my 20s was just the drinking phase. Even when I get stuck into exercise or jiu-jitsu or whatever it may be, I'm kind of all or nothing. So unfortunately, yeah, the alcohol just took up a fair amount of time, but it was just a bad habit. Oh, hang on a sec, I'm just getting a phone call.
It just says your name. Oh, there you are.
What was that?
You just said Spencer.
No, sorry, I was getting a call from HSBC actually, but I'll call them back.
Right, okay.
But no, so for me, it was just a bad habit, and I guess I was very expectant that life would just dish out the things that I always hoped it would, and that's just not the way of it. And so my drinking had to change, and it was tricky, being so social. I worked in the city for many years. I was a CFD broker and then a currency trader at ICAP. And, it was just so normal there. You'd get taken out for lunch, and you'd be expected to drink, and then you take clients out in the evening, you're drinking. And it's like, it was kind of like this never ending cycle. I'm not blaming it. I had an awesome time working in the city and it was great. But as you get a bit older, you're able to deal with the alcohol less well, usually. When I'm
2-day events.
When I was 19, 20, 21, I could drink honestly more than anyone you could ever imagine, and I would never feel hungover. I'd never feel anything for it. I'd go out and I'd drink, go to sleep, get up, no problem, hit the gym, and I had years of that. So ultimately that was unhelpful towards developing this habit, which later became a problem.
Yeah, and I think there's a real pattern where people do drink hard in their 20s and then they tend to, as you say, it starts affecting them and they realise they can't get away with it anymore as much. And then they tend to quit in their late 20s or in their 30s. So I think you made some really excellent points there.
Yeah.
And in terms of, you said that your life's incomparably better without alcohol or alcohol. So what top 3 things would you choose are better?
My ability to be a better husband and father is probably top of the list. My ability just to function as a businessman. I mean, I not only understand things that I would never have bothered to even look into a couple of years ago, but I'm able to run what's looking like a very successful early stage company, of which many of our employees left very serious jobs to join our entrepreneurial mission to change the way people drink. So it's a really exciting time in my life, actually. And it's just one that wouldn't be possible if I had the relationship that I had before with alcohol. And by the way, my story is no different to millions of people who drink alcohol. And that's one of the reasons why I find it so relevant. I would wake up and I'd be like, that can wait till next week. That would just be my that would just be my vibe. Whereas now we're trying to crack India, America, Australia all at the same time. We're just going crazy with what we're trying to achieve, and it couldn't be more fun. And we've got the backing of really serious individuals and a very serious venture fund in the States. And you know, we've raised some quite serious money, and we've got a really good shot at creating a lot more buzz than there currently is around this no and low alcohol market. And we really want to drive it into everyone's homes and make people, you know, even people who drink alcohol, just to understand the value of, you know, perhaps having one less drink and drinking clean. So it's a very exciting time, and just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. As I've said recently, that I don't think I'd be friends with myself 2 years ago. Like, we'd have nothing in common. We wouldn't have the same friends almost even. I mean, I used to be incredibly social. Now, obviously, I married my best friends. We have a kid together. We're both very busy with work. It's not like we're out and about all the time. We simply just don't have the time. And I have a handful of, you know, very close friends. But everything has changed. You know, everything has changed. And it changed for the better.
Effect, doesn't it, on everything?
But I even see it rubbing off positively on people that I know really well, which is great, you know, and it's kind of what you want. And I really don't ever want to sound preachy about alcoholism or whether or not someone's an alcoholic. It just doesn't, it's not my place to be. But nowadays in the world, there's so much innovation and fun and creativity going on, whereby it's possible to go out and order the exact same drinks you would have always ordered, but, you know, order them clean, and you have something that tastes exactly the same with no negative effects of the alcohol. You know, I enjoyed the taste of alcohol. I wouldn't drink to get hammered. I would just, in the same way that lots of people come home from work and have a cigarette, you know, I would just drink, you know, as part of my life. So I now feel like when I have a clean gin and tonic at home, it's the same as me having a gin and tonic. It tastes the same. It kind of feels the same. I get a slight placebo effect that, oh, this is a nice end to a lovely long day. But actually, I'm not consuming any alcohol. So for me, it's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't dim your glow or slow your roll the next day. I love that. And apparently, so 2/3 of Brits want to drink less now. So I think there's a real sober curious movement going on. So you're really tapping into that. And in terms of, so you've got a son, Theodore, who's 2.
Nearly 2 years. He's coming 5th of September, his birthday.
Cool. And you're expecting a baby daughter. What will you say to them when they're 18?
You know, if he wants to go out and drink and get drunk with his friends, whatever, of course, have fun, no problem. But, you know, again, it's people, I just did it then. People put alcohol and fun in the same bracket. And I don't like, I've unlocked 60% of my brain that I didn't use before. So for me now, life is more fun. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
Bradley Cooper in Limitless.
I said that the other day in a live, but he did an interview actually, claiming, because he's sober.
Yeah, he is.
And he credits all his success to sobriety, and he plays dependency awfully well, you know.
Yeah, the Hangover.
In what's that Lady Gaga?
A Star Is Born. Yeah.
So he's been there before, Bradley Cooper. You know, he said before that when he was 30 years old, he was, you know, just on the sofa all day and you know, getting absolutely nowhere with his life. And when he said that when he played Limitless, he would base his former character on himself when he used to drink, and he would base the enhanced version of himself on himself now. So that's honestly, it's a good comparison for how I feel, the Limitless thing. You know, that was me before and me now on the NCT or whatever they call it. But yeah, no, it's pretty... Sorry?
Who knows what you'll achieve?
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, listen, I'm not saying I'm some great mover and shaker, but it certainly feels like a step in the right direction. And I now know that I have a half sensible chance of achieving my goals and dreams, which are enormous, might I add. Whereas before, I wouldn't have even had these goals and aspirations because they would have seemed so far, you know, away and just so unlikely. But it's very, I know it's a bit cliche, but it's very important to set yourself big goals and dream big. But also it's equally important to give yourself a fit and fighting chance of achieving those goals. Yeah. So yeah, you know.
Love it. It's inspirational. And in terms, so you said that you wouldn't necessarily be friends with the censor of 2 years ago. if you could jump in a time machine and go back and say something to him, would you be kind to him, or would you give him a good talking to?
I'd be kind to him, but I don't think he'd listen. That's the problem. There's this rather kind of arrogant, uncontrollable side to Spencer 2 years ago.
Yeah. And did anyone try and talk to him, or did like?
I think it's very, very difficult to talk to anybody who has an alcohol issue unless they want to change themselves. Very complicated. I've done it before. I've had conversations with some of my very close friends who, you know, I can feel are kind of heading a certain way, and you kind of don't want to hear it, you know. You're like, which is fair enough. I wouldn't have wanted to hear it, and I didn't want to hear it. You know, my mum spoke to me, my dad spoke to me, you know, and they barely even saw me because they often weren't even in the UK. So how bad must it have been the rest of the time? So you need to realize first in your minds if you think you're going down the wrong rabbit hole, you know, and then you need to ask for people's advice if you want it. I think anyone who gets given advice when you don't want it, usually it falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, you just swipe it away, don't you? Not ready.
So yeah, I would have seen me, and I would have been jealous, I suppose, of myself, but I wouldn't have wanted to listen to it.
Yeah,
there would have been a wall up.
Yeah, I get it. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much. Lovely interview.
And yeah, Spencer Matthews, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Thank you very much.